hate to barge in on a city and then be treated horribly by corrupt politicians and bad politicians, like a guy like Pritzker. He ought to spend more time in the gym, actually. This guy is a disaster. It's like the craziest thing I've ever seen. But I don't like going to a town, a city, place, a state, and then be criticized by some corrupt or incompetent governor where crime is rampant. Like, take a look at D.C. Crime was rampant. It was at the all-time worst. It got really bad during the Biden 4 years. And then I have a mayor stand up and say how crime has reached a 30-year low. 30-year low. People are being killed left and right. And it's not a 30-year low. Think of it. So for 11 days, there's been no murders. The record goes back years where that's happened. They haven't seen that happen in years. And then people stand up, and instead of thanking us, which they should do, and she's not that bad. She's better than most. But, you know, you have people I watched in Illinois. Chicago, Illinois is a disaster. I have property there. It's a disaster what's going on in Chicago. And you get Pritzker, he's violating our rights. I think this is another men and women's sports thing. I think this is one of those, you know, they call them 80-20 issues. I call them 97-3. I think the Democrats better get smart. And, you know, politically, I hope they don't. But actually, in terms of love for the country, I hope they do, because it would be good to work together. So I'm thinking about, you know, when I have some slob like Pritzker criticizing us before we even go there, I made the statement that next should be Chicago, because, as you all know, Chicago is a killing field right now. And they don't acknowledge it. And they say, we don't need him. Freedom, freedom. He's a dictator. He's a dictator. A lot of people are saying maybe we like a dictator. I don't like a dictator. I'm not a dictator. I'm a man with great common sense, and I'm a smart person. And when I see what's happening to our cities, and then you send in troops, instead of being praised, they're saying you're trying to take over the republic. These people are sick.
They absolutely are sick, right? Absolutely. And I want to play this clip from I guess they're changing their name. So BS Now, formerly known as MSDNC. I want to play this clip because it is absolutely hilarious. And you can tell that they get really uncomfortable when this former governor of Ohio actually tells the truth. Actually tells the truth live on air. So I want you guys to check that out.
Governor, look, you understand very clearly what it means when the National Guard comes into your state, what it means when it comes in to a community. Donald Trump essentially said today that, you know what, not only was he not happy that he wasn't being thanked for this, he suggested that there are people who want a dictator. He says, I'm not a dictator. I'm being accused of being a dictator. But some people may want someone to come in and take control. So I wonder how you see this and what the options are for governors in this case.
Well, I mean, I have to tell you, I have such a different take than what we've just heard. They talk about a manufactured crisis. Have you been in Chicago? Have you been in Baltimore? But my daughter went to school in Chicago. I remember the day she graduated, there were shootings and killings right outside of her building. And in Baltimore, I have friends that go down to Johns Hopkins, get treated for medical conditions. I mean, they are nervous about ever going there. There are parts of Baltimore that he tells me he wouldn't go into. And this is not some right-wing person. This is somebody who wants to be able to go into some of our great cities and be able to be safe. Now, I do think it's important that if you're going to do this, you've got to define the mission. You've got to talk about your authority. And I think one of the earlier guest was saying that, you know, well, maybe there's narrow ways to do it. I agree with that. But that just then says that there are ways to do it. And if I had had a crisis in Cleveland, we thought we were going to have riots, or in Columbus or whatever, I would never have put, you know, the fact that, well, I'm governor, so I would want to work with other people who wanted to help me. And look, what's been happening in Chicago has been terrible. The crime rate is high. The gang problem is real. I tried to get Arnie Duncan, the former
Look at all of them. She was looking down. He's taking a big breath. She's like flipping through. I don't know if y'all could hear it. I'm not even on the screen. I don't know if y'all could hear it, but like, I think it was her the actual, I think it was the actual host, when he started like talking about how she's wrong, she started like fumbling with papers and everything. You kind of hear the mic picking it up a little bit. If you play this clip back, listen very closely. I can't even talk. Goodness gracious. Listen very closely to what's going on in the background, and you'll hear like paper. I don't have any paper here. Like somebody's flipping a bunch of pages as he's talking, right? But you won't hear that when, you know, another Democrat who is, you know, spewing out their Trump derangement. You won't hear anybody moving. You know, you could hear a mouse, you know, walk across the floor or something. Okay, when a Democrat is speaking, but since he is calling them out, now all of a sudden somebody wants to shuffle with a bunch of papers, and she's looking down. She was just looking down. He's taking a deep breath. You know, ridiculous.
Secretary under Obama to run for mayor. He's out there trying to work to get, you know, to deal with the gang problem.
Yep. You can hear it right there. I don't know if y'all caught that. That's not me, by the way. I am muting my mic. Okay? My mic is muted. Well, now it's not, of course, because you can hear me. But I'm going to mute it right now. So listen to the background.
Duncan, the former education secretary under Obama, to run for mayor. He's out there trying to work to get, you know, to deal with the gang problem. He didn't want to do it. But I think Chicago is a jewel of America. We just cannot let lawlessness and fear dominate these cities. So, yeah, I think we need to know what the mission is. I think we need to know what the authority is. I think we need to know what the length is. But the idea that these cities are somehow fine, I think you're just... I don't think anybody...
Whistling. I mean, listen,
I heard the word manufacturing crisis. This is a manufactured crisis. No, it's not. It is a crisis.
Go ahead, Basil. You're trying to jump in here.
Go ahead. Jump in. He's exposing us right now. Jump in. Somebody else. I need somebody else to talk, right? I found this chart, and I want you guys to take a look at this. Okay? Total annual reported homicides. Top 5 cities by year. Look where Chicago is. Almost 600 homicides. 600. That is absolutely insane. Insane. 600. That is ridiculous. And then up here, I mean, we're talking over 800 people getting pine boxed in your own city. Absolutely ridiculous. And not by natural causes, right? These are homicides. But when you talk to the people of Chicago, you know, unlike Mayor Brandon Johnson and Governor Pritzker, who, of course, they both, oh, no, we don't need that. But when you actually go and talk to the actual people, they agree with what Trump is doing. They want the National Guard there.
Our children can't walk around the community without fear of being hurt or kidnapped or having a drive-by. So it's what these numbers that they're expressing, we don't feel it in our quality of life. Our children.
Bingo. You know, it's the same thing that Democrats did with the whole the economy is great thing. You guys remember that last year leading up to the election? Democrats and mainstream media, because of course mainstream media is an arm of the Democrat Party, and you can't convince me of anything different. They were all saying the economy is great, the economy is booming, it's amazing, and everybody, all the voters, right, all of us, we're like, no, it's not, no, it ain't, y'all tripping, y'all tweaking, stop lying. That's a load of crap. And of course, mainstream media will come up, well, see, according to the API and the NASDAQ and blah, you know, they start saying a bunch of crap, you know, a bunch of fancy terms and everything else. Well, you know, according to the statistics and the professionals and the experts, the economy is doing fantastic. It's the best it's been in 10 years, you know, type deal. I feel like it's the same thing with these crimes, right? Democrats, crime is at an all-time low. Crime is declining, and the people of the city are like, bro, we don't feel that. We don't. I don't feel safe walking outside my house. I don't feel good walking, I don't feel safe walking down the street. I mean, it's just absolutely ridiculous. But I got more clips, man.
So we got Donald Trump saying today that he gonna send what'd he say? He gonna send the army basically to Chicago like he did DC. You know what I'm saying? He say it's gonna stop the crime rate. Crime rate wasn't a murder in DC in 11 days or nothing like that going on, right? So the Democrats come to saying, wait, from Chicago, and I'm a Democrat, let me go ahead and say that. But they come in, what is it, the fucking governor and the mayor, you know what I'm saying? They comes out and say Chicago is the safest since 1964. Chicago is, and I'm just looking like, and I'm from Chicago. Let's go ahead and keep that in mind. I'm definitely from Chicago, East Side landlord. You know what I'm saying? Jeffrey Manor. Man, listen, the streets ain't safe. What you mean? That's one thing I can't agree with the Democrats on. The streets is not safe. You got these little ones running around with Dracos and drums and, you know what I'm saying? Like having their way, Hellcats, they flying masks, they got the Nike Techs on. You know what I'm saying? They doing anything they want. They robbing old people for cars and they doing all type of stuff. It's almost like a Grand Theft Auto, but in real life. You know what I'm saying? Everybody got big drums and big Dracos. I don't know where these pipes coming from. First off, let's go ahead and start there. But ain't nobody gonna say the NRA, but they everywhere. This motherfucker like a look. Afghanistan. No, I think he do need to bring the troops too. Yeah, the troops need to come through because we ain't understanding nothing as people. We're not understanding nothing in Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like we want to keep moving the same way. Nah, bring them National Guards down there, G.
Bring the National Guards. Bring the National Guard. You got little kids with Dracos. Switches. Okay? Like, it is absolutely wild. And it doesn't take a genius to figure this one out. You don't have to live in Chicago to know that it is a crime-ridden city. When you have a city that is nicknamed after a war zone, I mean, that tells you everything you need to know, right? You have a city nicknamed Chirac. That tells you everything you need to know. Just absolutely ridiculous, man.
Hey, Trump, you need to bring the National Guards to Chicago, man. You got kids killing kids, man. That's not good, man. Washington, D.C., is not much going on compared to Chicago, man. I'm running. It's a war happening right now in Chicago, man. Hey, look, man. Look, go on the news, or go on Google, type Chicago. I'm going back home to Africa, man. I can't. Too much going on, man, in Chicago, man. Yeah.
I would rather go live in Africa than to stay in Chicago. It's pretty wild stuff when you really think about it, man. Pretty wild stuff. I would rather go to Africa. Not to say that Africa is a horrible, terrible place. There's some very, very beautiful, cities and places in Africa. But to say that you would rather go live in another country than to stay in America, I think that tells you everything you need to know about your city.
Unpopular opinion. So Donald Trump wants to send the National Guard into Chicago, Illinois. And of course, he's getting a lot of pushback from the Democratic Party and, other liberals. And I just have one question. What the fuck do we have to lose by doing that? I thought it was, the government's position that they wanted our streets safe. I thought they wanted our kids to be able to go to their local parks and play basketball. I thought they wanted our elderly to be able to walk the streets without the fear of being riddled by bullets from a switch on a fucking Glock. I thought that's what we wanted, people. I thought we wanted to be safe. Hey, look, I don't fuck with Trump like that either. But sometimes common sense is common fucking sense. But I guess sometimes it's not common.
Clearly not a Trump supporter. Not a guy who's out here stomping for Trump. But he's like, bro, common sense is just common sense. What Trump is doing is actually correct. That is what needs to happen. And, it's absolutely wild to me, and I'm going to leave y'all with this. And I said this before, but it's absolutely wild to me how Democrats, on one hand will say, oh, we care so much about black people and people of color, yada, yada, yada. But then on the other hand, they'll say, no, we don't want Trump to bring the National Guard in, all while black people, the very same people that they say they care about, right, the Democrats, are dying due to gun violence. These crimes, being terrorized in some of the cities with which we live in. Terrorized. But Democrats don't want to fix that. So they would rather watch black bodies continue to drop, black communities continue to be terrorized by these YNs. They would rather watch that than to see it be cleaned up. It's pretty wild when you think about it. And it's honestly not too surprising, considering which party it's all coming from, right? The Democrat Party. We all know what the origin story of the Democrat Party is, right? They never liked black people from the beginning. So I guess in a way it kind of makes sense that they would rather see more black bodies drop than to see our communities be safe. I'm going to leave y'all with that. Y'all stay safe out there. Peace and love. I'm out.